Have you ever been in the middle of an amazing conversation with a woman, everything flowing perfectly, and then, without any warning, she goes quiet? No explanation, no goodbye, just silence. It leaves you wondering what went wrong, doesn't it? Imagine sharing stories, laughter, and genuine moments, only to see that connection fade away in an instant. It's a feeling that can be both confusing and deeply frustrating. I've been there myself, feeling that inexplicable shift, and I know it can leave you questioning your every word and action. Today, I want to share some insights into why these moments occur. They aren't random at all. They're rooted in the subtle ways we communicate, the unspoken signals we send, and the habits we may not even realize we have. Before we move forward, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. That simple gesture helps me continue sharing practical wisdom that can truly transform your relationships and overall life. You see, sometimes, without even noticing, we might lower our value in someone's eyes by being too available or by oversharing our thoughts too quickly. It could be as simple as replying immediately to every message or revealing personal details too soon. These seemingly harmless habits can actually create distance instead of drawing people closer. The way we carry ourselves, the pace at which we share, and even the subtle timing in our responses all play a significant role in building attraction. Now think about this. When you allow yourself to be both open and genuine, while also maintaining a sense of mystery and self-respect, you naturally become more magnetic. It's not about playing games or being aloof on purpose. It's about striking that perfect balance where you remain true to who you are, yet keep a little bit reserved. This balance is key because it shows that you value yourself, and that in turn makes others value you too. I want you to consider your own experiences. Have you ever felt that sudden pull, that shift in energy, only to have it vanish before you could truly understand why? By the end of our time together, I hope you'll have a clearer picture of what might be happening in those moments and how you can adjust your approach to nurture more fulfilling connections. Throughout our conversation today, we're going to explore these ideas together, uncovering the subtle mistakes that might be sabotaging your interactions and learning how a shift in mindset can make all the difference. Trust me, when you begin to understand the art of conversation and connection on this deeper level, you'll start to see changes, not just in your interactions, but in how you view yourself. So let's embark on this journey toward understanding and self-improvement, knowing that every conversation is an opportunity to grow into the best version of yourself. All right, let's get into it. The harsh truth starts right here. Women don't lose interest randomly. There's always a reason. It all starts with the way we present ourselves. When a man becomes too available, too eager, or too quick to respond, it sends a subtle message that he may not have much going on beyond that connection. Picture a situation where a guy answers every message immediately, no matter the time or day. At first, that might seem caring and attentive, but soon, that constant availability begins to feel less like genuine interest and more like neediness. When every message is met with an instant reply, the excitement of anticipation disappears, leaving behind only predictability. Now think about the role of emotion in attraction. It's not about logic or ticking off a checklist. It's about the feelings stirred up during an interaction. A man who reveals too much of his emotions too early can unintentionally signal that he isn't in control of his own feelings. This isn't about hiding who you are. It's about sharing in a balanced, measured way. Constantly laying bare your inner worries or doubts can weigh on the other person instead of sparking curiosity. It's the difference between sharing a hint of mystery versus opening up every detail of your life all at once. Imagine a scenario where a man, eager to connect, sends several messages when he hasn't received a reply for just a few minutes. At first, his persistence might come off as sweet, but as time goes on, it begins to feel overwhelming. When his messages fill the silence instead of punctuating a thoughtful conversation, that spark begins to fade. Often, what creates attraction is a balance, a sense that you have your own life, ambitions, and interests outside of the connection. This subtle tension is what creates a magnetic pull. When that tension evaporates because you're always available, the allure simply diminishes. Think about it this way. When a man is constantly checking in and always ready to respond, he inadvertently makes himself seem replaceable. It's as if he's saying, "I'm here for you anytime," which might seem positive at first, but can actually reduce his perceived value. The key is to have boundaries, to let moments of silence work in your favor and give her the space to miss you. This isn't about playing games or being distant on purpose. It's about recognizing and respecting your own worth and the natural ebb and flow of connection. There's another aspect to this harsh truth, emotional vulnerability that borders on weakness. When you're constantly seeking validation, always looking for approval, you project an image of insecurity. A man who frequently apologizes for minor missteps or overshares his thoughts is often seen as lacking confidence. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust yourself enough not to be rattled by every small setback. When you display steady self-assurance, it creates an environment where genuine attraction can thrive. Let's be straightforward. If you become overly dependent on someone else's validation, it can suffocate the very connection you're trying to build. Instead of fostering intrigue and mutual respect, you find yourself caught in a cycle of endless reassurance. This behavior not only drains your own energy, but shifts the focus from cultivating a balanced, meaningful relationship to merely chasing compliments. Once that chase begins, the natural flow of attraction is disrupted. At its core, the issue lies in balancing being present with being self-sufficient. There's a delicate equilibrium here. On one hand, the desire to connect deeply, and on the other, the need to maintain your independence. When that balance tips too far, the scales of attraction begin to falter. Women are drawn to men who command their own space, who are secure in themselves and not solely defined by their interactions with others. This is where the concept of mystery comes into play. Mystery isn't about withholding or playing hard to get. It's about having a full, rich life that naturally piques curiosity. Share too much too soon and you rob the conversation of that essential spark. Let me break it down further. Why does this happen? When you become overly predictable, when your responses are immediate and constant, you lose that element of anticipation. Think of it like seasoning a meal. A little spice adds flavor and intrigue, but too much overwhelms the palate. In human connection, that spice is the natural delay, the anticipation of waiting for a thoughtful reply, the excitement that comes with not knowing exactly when you'll hear back. Overtexting and constant availability remove that vital flavor, leaving behind a dull, monotonous exchange. It's important to recognize that attraction is a complex interplay of emotional signals. It's about the energy you project, the confidence you exude, and the respect you show for yourself. When you consistently give up your time and energy without a hint of reservation, it signals a desperation for validation. And let me tell you, desperation is the surest way to extinguish attraction. Women naturally gravitate toward men who are in control, those who can relish a moment of silence without feeling the need to fill it, who can engage meaningfully without overstepping boundaries. Think back to the last time you encountered someone who was constantly in need of reassurance. Chances are that person's energy was overwhelming, and you found yourself pulling away rather than being drawn in. True connection thrives on balance, a balanced exchange where both people feel valued and respected. When one person dominates, the interaction with an endless need for approval, It creates an imbalance that slowly erodes the foundation of attraction. These behaviors rarely occur in isolation. They're interconnected. Neediness often leads to overtexting, which in turn exposes underlying emotional vulnerabilities. Once you begin to notice these patterns, it becomes clear that the root issue isn't a lack of interest on her part, but rather a misalignment in how you're conveying your own value. It's a hard truth to face, but recognizing this pattern is the first step toward transforming your interactions. Make no mistake, this isn't about abandoning your true self or suppressing your feelings. It's about channeling your energy in a way that naturally builds attraction. When you're secure in who you are and balance your openness with a healthy dose of self-respect, you create an atmosphere where authentic connection can flourish. Imagine engaging in a conversation where every word is measured, your timing deliberate, and your moments of silence as powerful as your speech. That's the kind of presence that leaves a lasting impression. Many fall into the trap of equating constant availability with genuine interest. They believe that being always reachable nurtures the bond. In reality, this constant availability can make you seem less intriguing, almost as if you have nothing else going on in your life. Over time, the very qualities that once signaled care and attention can come across as an underlying insecurity. And even a hint of insecurity can undermine the strength of any connection. So let's get straight to it. What's the biggest reason women lose interest? It's simple. When a man stops being a challenge, he stops being attractive. Break. Time 0.5s. The allure lies in the delicate balance between engagement and independence. Lose that balance, and what was once magnetic turns mundane. At the end of the day, every behavior that signals neediness or over-availability chips away at the value you offer. It isn't about intentionally creating distance. It's about understanding that your worth isn't measured solely by how quickly you reply or how much you reveal. It's about cultivating a presence that is both engaging and self-sufficient, where every interaction reflects a man who knows his value and isn't afraid to let a little mystery remain. The journey toward understanding these dynamics isn't easy, but it's crucial if you want to build lasting connections. When you shift your focus from constant validation to embracing a more balanced approach, you begin to see a transformation, not just in how others see you, but in how you see yourself. And that ultimately is the key to unlocking a deeper, more meaningful connection. As you reflect on these ideas, remember that the power to transform your interactions lies within you. Every moment spent over-communicating, every instance of neediness slowly erodes the natural magnetism you possess. By reclaiming your space and allowing silence and anticipation to work their magic, you set the stage for a connection that is both genuine and profound. The truth might be hard to accept, but once you understand that there is always a reason behind every fading connection, you gain the power to change it. And that power begins with you, your willingness to embrace your own value, to stand firm in your self-respect, and to let the natural rhythm of connection flourish. The psychology of attraction. Let's talk about what really draws us to one another. We're about to explore why simple niceness isn't the secret ingredient, and how the interplay of mystery, emotion, and self-assurance makes a connection truly magnetic. Attraction is a mysterious force. It isn't just about being kind or having good manners. When you think about it, what is it really that draws us to someone? Is it simply their niceness, or is there something more at play? Let's explore this together, breaking down the psychology behind attraction in a way that feels natural and easy to understand. Imagine this: you meet someone who is undeniably kind and polite. Yet despite all the niceness, the spark just isn't there. Why is it that being nice doesn't always guarantee that connection? The answer lies in the subtle difference between respect and attraction. Respect is about admiring someone for their qualities, their integrity, or their skills. Attraction, however, is much more complex. It's a blend of emotions, chemistry, and even a touch of mystery. Think of attraction as a dance, a graceful interplay where every step, every pause matters. When you're engaged in this dance, there's an unspoken rhythm. It's that moment when your eyes meet and you feel a spark, or when you share a laugh and feel a warmth that goes beyond words. It's not something you can force by simply being agreeable or overly kind. In fact, if you only focus on being nice, you might lose the element of excitement that keeps the connection alive. Now let's talk about a common question. Why do women chase men who don't chase them? It might seem counterintuitive, but there's an evolutionary backdrop to this behavior. In our natural history, the chase has often signified a challenge, a test of resourcefulness and confidence. When a man doesn't immediately give in or respond with constant availability, it suggests that he has a rich inner life, interests, and goals of his own. This quality, that sense of self-contained allure, sparks curiosity. It tells her that there is more to him than meets the eye. Consider a simple analogy. Imagine you're at a restaurant and you're served a meal that is perfectly balanced, not too bland, not too overwhelming. The flavors develop gradually, leaving you wanting more with every bite. That's what a little mystery can do in human connection. When you're not overly eager, when you allow a bit of space, it creates a sense of anticipation, a flavor that lingers, inviting her to come back for another taste. Being too available, on the other hand, is like serving a meal that's been over-seasoned. It can overwhelm and ultimately lose its appeal. It's important to understand that attraction isn't built solely on logic. It's driven by emotion, by the subtle cues you give off without even realizing it. When you're constantly seeking validation or reacting immediately to every message, you might be sending signals that say, "I need constant reassurance." This can diminish the natural intrigue that makes a connection special. Instead, when you balance your openness with a hint of mystery, you allow space for the other person to wonder, to imagine, and to value your presence more deeply. What does this mean in everyday interactions? Picture a scenario where you're engaged in conversation, and instead of immediately filling every silence with words, you allow for a thoughtful pause. That pause isn't awkward. It's a powerful moment where meaning is exchanged without saying a word. It gives both of you time to reflect on what was just said, and it builds anticipation for what comes next. In contrast, if you rush to fill every moment with constant chatter, you lose that sense of depth and intimacy. This concept ties back to the idea of balance, the balance between being engaging and being reserved. A man who can hold his space, who shows that he values his own time and energy, naturally exudes an air of confidence. And confidence, as we all know, is incredibly attractive. It signals that you're in control, that you're comfortable with who you are, and that you have a full, vibrant life beyond just the moment you're sharing. This isn't about playing hard to get or being disinterested. It's about honoring your own worth while still being open to genuine connection. Have you ever wondered why sometimes the most intriguing people are the ones who don't seem to be trying too hard? It's because they've mastered the art of letting things unfold naturally. They know that every interaction has its own rhythm, and they let that rhythm guide them instead of forcing a particular outcome. When you're relaxed and confident, your energy becomes magnetic, drawing others to you without you even needing to say much. There's also an element of unpredictability that plays a crucial role in attraction. When you're predictable, when every action follows the same routine, the excitement gradually fades away. Think about your favorite story or movie. It's the unexpected twists and turns that keep you engaged, that make you think, what will happen next? In personal interactions, that same principle applies. When you reveal just enough about yourself to keep the mystery alive, you invite curiosity and deeper interest. So, what's the takeaway here? Attraction isn't about logic, it's about emotion. And when you remove the thrill of the chase, the spark fades. Most men don't realize that while being nice is important, it isn't the secret ingredient on its own. Instead, it's about creating a dynamic balance, being genuine and kind, while also preserving an element of mystery and independence. Imagine a conversation where every word is measured and every pause is filled with potential. That's the kind of interaction that builds genuine attraction. It's not about holding back your true self. It's about showcasing your best qualities while leaving room for the other person to explore and appreciate the mystery that is you. When you strike that balance, you naturally command respect and interest, making your presence felt in a way that is both subtle and powerful. Now, here's where most men go completely wrong. In the next part of our conversation, we'll delve deeper into the behaviors that can sabotage this delicate balance, and I'll share insights on how to avoid those pitfalls. For now, remember that true attraction is a blend of emotion, mystery, and self-assurance, a combination that creates a magnetic pull, drawing others to you in a way that feels natural and effortless. The biggest mistake: neediness and validation seeking. Let's talk about something that can quietly destroy attraction without us even realizing it: neediness. Neediness is like bad cologne. It repels instantly. Let's talk about that feeling of being overly eager, of always needing reassurance, and constantly seeking validation. It's something many of us have experienced at one time or another, and it's one of the biggest mistakes that can kill attraction without us even realizing it. Imagine a guy who sends message after message, checking in every few minutes, desperate for a reply. At first, it might seem like genuine interest, but soon it becomes overwhelming. When every text is answered almost immediately, there's no room left for anticipation or excitement. That constant ping of notifications might seem like attention, but it can also signal that there isn't much happening in your life outside of that conversation. And trust me, women sense that neediness instinctively. They can tell when a man is over-available, and it sends a message that he might not have much to offer beyond constant reassurance. Think about it like this. Neediness is like wearing a fragrance that everyone notices for the wrong reasons. Instead of drawing someone in, it pushes them away because it overpowers the senses. The same goes for emotional neediness. When you over-explain every little detail about your day, or over-apologize for every minor mistake, you inadvertently diminish your own value. It's not that you should hide who you are, but when every moment is filled with a desperate need for validation, it creates an unbalanced dynamic in any relationship. Let's say you're in a conversation and you find yourself saying things like, "I'm sorry if that wasn't interesting enough," or "Please tell me what you think, I really need to know." These are subtle cues that you're looking for external confirmation that you're worthy of attention. And while it might feel comforting in the moment, over time, this kind of behavior chips away at the magnetic energy you naturally possess. It's as if you're sending a silent message: "I need you to keep me afloat," rather than showing that you're strong enough to stand on your own. Have you ever noticed how, when someone is overly available, their words start to lose impact? It's like when you overuse a word until it becomes meaningless. Constantly texting, oversharing, or repeatedly asking for reassurance transforms what could be a charming quirk into a glaring flaw. When you're always there, waiting at the edge of every conversation, the natural ebb and flow of intrigue is lost. And that's why, deep down, women start to pull away. Let's break it down further. When you're seeking validation with every interaction, you're essentially giving away your power. It's like placing your worth on a scale that's controlled by someone else. Imagine a situation where you're so caught up in impressing someone that you forget to impress yourself first. Instead of showing that you're confident and self-assured, you become a mirror, reflecting back only what you think the other person wants to see. And while that might work temporarily, it rarely leads to a lasting connection. In real-life scenarios, this can manifest in many ways. Picture a guy who is always the first to text, who never waits for a reply, and who floods the conversation with his opinions and feelings. At first, it might feel warm and inviting, but soon it becomes a one-sided exchange. The other person may start to feel smothered or simply unchallenged. There's an unspoken rule in any meaningful connection. There should be space for both people to breathe, to think, and to feel. When one person monopolizes the conversation with neediness, it disrupts that balance. The instinct to seek validation is natural. After all, we all want to feel appreciated and loved. However, the key is in moderation. Instead of constantly fishing for compliments or confirmation, learn to trust in your own worth. Ask yourself, what can I bring to this interaction that stands on its own? Focus on building a rich life that doesn't revolve solely around someone else's approval. When you do that, you become less dependent on external validation and more secure in who you are. Now let's get practical. How do you avoid falling into the trap of neediness? The first step is awareness. Recognize when you're over-texting, over-explaining, or over-apologizing. Notice those moments when you feel an overwhelming need to fill every silence or every pause in the conversation. Once you're aware, you can start to take small steps to change your approach. One practical solution is to practice patience. Instead of expecting an immediate reply, give the conversation its natural rhythm. When you send a message, allow for a thoughtful pause. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about creating a space where both parties can reflect on what was shared. That pause is like a breath of fresh air. It can build anticipation and leave a lasting impact. Another step is to cultivate your own interests and passions. When you have a rich life outside of your interactions, you naturally become less reliant on the other person for validation. Whether it's a hobby, a career goal, or simply spending quality time with friends, invest in yourself. This not only boosts your confidence, but also makes you a more interesting person to be around. When you're busy living your own life, the need to constantly check in or seek approval diminishes. It's also important to reframe your mindset around silence. Instead of fearing a pause in conversation, embrace it. Consider those moments of silence as opportunities for reflection rather than signs of disinterest. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this pause? Often, silence can speak louder than words. It gives both you and the other person time to process, to think, and to appreciate the depth of what was shared. Self-awareness is another powerful tool in combating neediness. Take a moment to check in with yourself. Ask, am I acting out of genuine interest or am I seeking validation? Journaling or even talking things out with a trusted friend can help you understand the patterns in your behavior. The more you understand about why you feel the need to overcompensate, the easier it becomes to address those feelings at their root. And remember, it's okay to be vulnerable sometimes, but vulnerability should come from a place of strength, not desperation. There's a big difference between sharing your authentic self and constantly asking for reassurance. When you're vulnerable from a place of confidence, it can be incredibly attractive. It shows that you're in touch with your emotions and that you have nothing to hide. But when vulnerability turns into a constant need for approval, it becomes a weakness that undermines your self-worth. Let's consider a real-life example to make this more relatable. Imagine a man named Alex. Alex is friendly and kind, and at first, his attentiveness seems charming. However, as the conversation progresses, Alex starts to send multiple messages before receiving a reply. He over-explains his opinions and even apologizes for minor things, like taking too long to reply. At first, his enthusiasm might be appreciated, but soon it becomes apparent that he's seeking constant validation. The other person begins to feel that Alex's energy is too heavy, and the natural flow of conversation is disrupted. Alex's behavior, while well-intentioned, ultimately creates a gap where genuine connection could have blossomed. Now imagine if Alex had taken a different approach. Instead of bombarding the conversation with messages, he could have waited a little longer between replies. He could have trusted that his worth wasn't defined by how quickly he responded. By giving the conversation space, he would have allowed both himself and the other person time to reflect and truly connect. That simple shift, from seeking constant approval to confidently allowing silence, could have made all the difference. The key here is to embrace a mindset shift. Understand that your value isn't tied to every moment of interaction or every response you receive. You are whole and complete on your own. When you start from that place of inner security, the need to constantly seek validation diminishes. You become more measured in your communication, more deliberate in your interactions. And in that space, real attraction can thrive. It's also worth noting that neediness often stems from past experiences, moments when you might have felt rejected or undervalued. These experiences can create a lingering fear of not being enough, which then drives the need for constant reassurance. Recognizing this pattern is the first step to overcoming it. By acknowledging where these feelings come from, you can begin to heal and build a stronger sense of self-worth. Over time, you'll find that the need for external validation fades as you learn to trust and appreciate yourself. In practical terms, one way to reduce neediness is by setting small goals for yourself. For example, challenge yourself to wait a little longer before sending that next message. Focus on enjoying the moment rather than constantly checking for a reply. Another strategy is to remind yourself that a pause in conversation isn't a negative sign. It's simply part of the natural rhythm of connection. Embrace that pause and let it remind you that every moment of silence is also a moment of potential. Neediness is a habit, and like any habit, it can be unlearned with practice and self-awareness. It starts with small changes, a conscious effort to step back and trust that the connection will flourish if you give it space. As you work on this, you'll notice that the quality of your interactions improves. The conversations become more balanced, more engaging, and ultimately more fulfilling. So how do you get rid of it? The answer lies in a powerful mindset shift, one that starts with recognizing your own inherent worth and understanding that you don't need constant validation to be complete. Focus on cultivating your own interests, nurturing your passions, and building a life that stands on its own. When you do that, you naturally become less dependent on the approval of others. You begin to see that your value isn't measured by how quickly you reply or how much you share, but by the confidence and self-assurance you carry every day. Remember, it's not about shutting down your emotions or pretending you don't care. It's about finding the balance between being open and maintaining a healthy sense of independence. Vulnerability is beautiful when it comes from a place of strength, not desperation. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable without the need for constant reassurance, you create an environment where real connection can thrive. In the end, overcoming neediness is a journey, one that requires patience, self-reflection, and a commitment to growing into the best version of yourself. As you begin to let go of the need for external validation, you'll find that your interactions become richer, more genuine, and infinitely more attractive. So take that step today. Recognize when you're overcompensating, pause, and allow yourself the space to simply be. because once you start embracing your own worth, you unlock a level of confidence that no amount of validation can ever replace. And that's the essence of the biggest mistake: neediness and constant validation seeking. By letting go of the habit of over-texting, over-explaining, and over-apologizing, you reclaim your power. You step into a space where your value is defined not by someone else's approval, but by the unwavering confidence that comes from knowing who you truly are. This shift, though challenging at times, is the key to building deeper, more meaningful connections. And trust me, when you embrace that power, everything changes for the better. The Stoic man's mindset. Let's unpack why Stoicism makes a man more attractive. Have you ever wondered why some men seem to attract respect and admiration naturally, even without trying too hard? What sets them apart isn't just their looks or success. It's how they manage their emotions, their sense of detachment, and their unshakable self-respect. In this section, we're going to explore why adopting a Stoic mindset can completely change the way you show up in relationships and in life. We'll break down key Stoic principles like emotional control and detachment, and see how they impact the way others perceive you. This shift in mindset doesn't just help you build stronger bonds, it also helps you become a more secure, attractive version of yourself. So, let's get into it. For 4 seconds, the Stoic man's mindset. Let's talk about how adopting this timeless philosophy can make you naturally more attractive. A Stoic way of thinking can completely transform your life, and in turn, make you naturally more attractive. Imagine being the kind of man who remains calm no matter what life throws at him. A man who isn't easily rattled by setbacks, who handles stress with grace, and who carries himself with unwavering self-respect. That's the power of emotional control, and it's one of the core principles of Stoicism. Emotional control is more than just keeping your cool in tough situations. It's about understanding that your reactions are within your control, even when you can't control the events around you. When you master this, you send a powerful message. You are confident, composed, and in charge of your life. Think about it. When someone stays calm during a crisis, it naturally draws people in. They trust you, they respect you, and they feel secure in your presence. This level of control is incredibly attractive because it shows that you're not ruled by impulse or fear. It tells the world that you have a strong inner foundation. Detachment is another key Stoic principle that plays a huge role in shaping an attractive persona. Now, don't get me wrong, detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or become cold. It means you maintain a healthy distance from outcomes and external validations. You learn to appreciate what you have without clinging desperately to it. When you're emotionally detached in this healthy way, you become less reactive. You don't let every little comment or setback disturb your inner peace. This kind of detachment allows you to stay focused on your own growth and passions. And let's be honest, that sense of inner drive and independence is magnetic. Women are naturally drawn to a man who isn't overly dependent on others for his happiness. A man who has his own goals, his own interests, and his own life path. Self-respect ties it all together. A man who respects himself carries an air of dignity and assurance. This isn't about arrogance or self-importance. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. Self-respect means standing by your principles, setting boundaries, and expecting to be treated with the same respect you offer to others. When you hold yourself in high regard, it naturally reflects in how others treat you. You won't tolerate behavior that undermines your worth, and that clarity makes you both stronger and more appealing. Let's break this down with a real-world example. Consider a man named Marcus. Marcus used to be the type of person who overreacted to every little criticism and felt devastated by rejection. He would check his phone constantly, desperate for any sign of approval. Over time, though, he discovered Stoicism. He started practicing mindfulness, learning to observe his emotions without getting entangled in them. Slowly, Marcus began to detach himself from the need for constant validation. When someone said something hurtful, instead of immediately reacting, he paused, took a deep breath, and assessed the situation calmly. Instead of chasing after fleeting compliments, he started building a life rich with purpose, investing in his career, hobbies, and personal development. His friends noticed a change. He wasn't as easily upset, and he radiated a quiet strength that was impossible to ignore. Women, too, started to see him differently. Where once he had seemed overly eager and desperate for attention, he now exuded calm and confidence. Marcus had leveled up by embracing the Stoic mindset, and the transformation was remarkable. This is the kind of change we're talking about here, an internal shift that turns vulnerability into strength. When you're in control of your emotions, you're not only handling stress better, you're also presenting yourself as someone who is reliable, stable, and admirable. It's as if you're saying, "I know who I am, and nothing can easily shake that." That's the kind of power that naturally draws others in. Another important aspect of adopting a Stoic mindset is learning to focus on what truly matters. Instead of getting caught up in trivial dramas or the fleeting opinions of others, you concentrate on your values, your goals, and your growth. This shift in focus helps you avoid getting bogged down by negativity. It's a reminder that life is too short to waste on things that don't add to your well-being. When you let go of what you cannot control, you make room for what you can. Improve yourself. For example, instead of obsessing over every text or reaction from someone else, you channel that energy into something constructive. Perhaps you pick up a new skill, hit the gym, or immerse yourself in a project you're passionate about. Each of these choices reinforces your sense of self-worth. They show that you value your time and energy, and that you're committed to living a fulfilling life regardless of external validation. The Stoic approach also teaches the importance of resilience. Life will throw challenges your way, rejections, setbacks, disappointments. But a Stoic man learns to view these obstacles as opportunities for growth rather than reasons to feel defeated. When you face adversity with a calm mind and a focused heart, you demonstrate strength and perseverance. And that resilience is incredibly attractive. It tells the world that no matter what happens, you have the inner resources to bounce back and keep moving forward. Now let's talk about how you can start adopting these principles in your own life. First, practice mindfulness. Begin by simply observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you encounter a stressful situation, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and let yourself respond rather than react. Over time, this practice will help you build that emotional control we talked about earlier. Next, work on detachment. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others or become indifferent to your relationships. It means recognizing that while connections are important, your happiness should not depend solely on them. Try setting small boundaries. Give yourself permission to say no and take time for yourself without feeling guilty. When you do this, you reinforce the idea that you have a full, independent life, and that alone makes you more intriguing. Then, focus on building self-respect. Start by setting clear standards for how you want to be treated, and don't settle for less. Whether it's in conversations, work, or relationships, make sure you're honoring your own worth. This might mean speaking up when something doesn't feel right, or taking a step back when someone disrespects your boundaries. Over time, as you consistently practice self-respect, you'll notice a change in how people interact with you. They'll treat you with more care, and you'll begin to see yourself through a lens of greater value and confidence. Women respect men who stay in control of their emotions. And if you can master this, your entire life will change. When you combine emotional control, healthy detachment, and robust self-respect, you create an aura that is both calming and captivating. It's not about hiding your feelings or pretending to be perfect. It's about showing that you're secure in who you are. This security, this inner strength, is what makes you stand out in any crowd. Consider back to our friend Marcus. After he embraced Stoicism, he no longer felt the need to rush into every conversation or seek validation with every interaction. Instead, he allowed life to unfold naturally. He responded thoughtfully, maintained his space, and invested his time in his personal goals. His calm presence became his most attractive trait, one that not only improved his relationships, but also his overall quality of life. People began to see him as someone who was dependable, wise, and truly confident. The beauty of the Stoic mindset is that it empowers you to take charge of your own happiness. You learn to navigate life's ups and downs without losing your sense of purpose. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice resilience, every setback a lesson in strength. And as you grow in these areas, you naturally become more appealing, not just to potential partners, but to everyone around you. It's important to remember that this is a journey, a continuous process of self-improvement. There will be days when you feel overwhelmed and moments when old habits creep back in. That's normal. The key is to recognize those moments and gently steer yourself back on course. Every step you take toward mastering your emotions, embracing healthy detachment, and upholding your self-respect is a step toward a more fulfilling and attractive life. So how do you start integrating these Stoic principles into your daily routine? One practical approach is to set aside a few minutes each day for reflection. Whether it's through journaling, meditation, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts, allow yourself the space to process your emotions and assess your reactions. Over time, this practice will help you develop the self-awareness needed to respond rather than react impulsively. Another effective method is to actively seek challenges that push you out of your comfort zone. Instead of shying away from difficult conversations or situations, face them head-on with a calm, measured approach. Each challenge you overcome reinforces your ability to stay composed, and every victory, no matter how small, builds your confidence. Remember, the goal isn't to suppress your emotions, but to master them. It's about striking a balance between feeling deeply and remaining in control. That balance is what makes a man truly magnetic, a man who is both sensitive and strong, both caring and independent, and that, in essence, is the Stoic man's mindset. By embracing this way of thinking, you not only enhance your own life, but also create richer, more meaningful connections with those around you. People are drawn to stability, to a calm presence that exudes confidence. When you embody these qualities, you naturally become someone who inspires trust and admiration. So, as you reflect on these ideas, ask yourself, how can I start applying Stoic principles in my own life? What small changes can I make today that will lead to a more controlled, detached, and respectful version of myself tomorrow? Every step you take towards this transformation is a step towards a more empowered and attractive you. To sum it up, a Stoic mindset is not just about philosophy. It's a practical tool for living a better, more fulfilled life. When you master your emotions, practice healthy detachment, and cultivate unwavering self-respect, you unlock a power that transcends everyday challenges. This power not only improves your relationships, but also transforms how you experience the world around you. It's a journey of self-mastery that, once embraced, can lead to profound changes in every aspect of your life. Women respect men who stay in control of their emotions, and if you can master this, your entire life will change. With each moment of calm, each instance of thoughtful detachment, and every act of self-respect, you are building an attractive, magnetic presence that speaks volumes without uttering a word. So take that step today. Embrace the Stoic mindset and watch as your world transforms into one of balance, confidence, and true allure. 5 rules to never lose a woman's interest. Let's have a real conversation about the simple, powerful guidelines that help you keep the spark alive. When you understand these rules, you begin to see how a mix of self-respect, independence, and just the right amount of mystery can make you naturally magnetic. Today, I'm going to share 5 key rules that will help you maintain genuine attraction. Each rule comes with straightforward examples you can start applying right away in your everyday interactions. Let's start with rule number 1. Be willing to walk away. Women respect men who aren't afraid to lose them. Think about it. If you allow her to treat you like an option, you're giving away your value. Imagine you're out for coffee with someone who at first seems interested. The conversation starts off well, but as time goes on, you notice that her attention drifts and she seems more distracted than engaged. Instead of scrambling to fill every silence or bending over backward to win her approval, you simply maintain your composure. You know that your time is valuable and you're not willing to sacrifice your self-worth for someone who isn't fully invested. When you're willing to walk away, you signal that you value yourself. It's not about being cold or indifferent. It's about showing that you're confident in who you are. Picture a scenario where during a conversation, you sense that your efforts are not being reciprocated. Instead of pushing harder, you decide to gracefully exit the situation, leaving the door open for a connection that truly honors your worth. That's the power of walking away. It creates space for someone who will appreciate the genuine, strong person you are. Now moving on to rule number 2, never over-text or over-explain. In today's world, it's tempting to fill every moment with messages, but constant communication can actually work against you. When you reply to every message immediately, you risk removing the natural rhythm of anticipation. Think about a situation where you text someone throughout the day. At first, it might seem like you're showing interest, but eventually, your prompt replies may start to feel less like caring gestures and more like signals of neediness. Imagine this. You send a thoughtful message and then immediately follow up with another before giving her a chance to respond. Over time, this pattern can make it seem as though you have nothing else going on in your life. It's like turning the volume of your presence all the way up. While that might feel reassuring to you, it can actually diminish the excitement and mystery. Instead, when you allow for some space between messages, you create a natural ebb and flow. That space builds curiosity and leaves room for anticipation. It tells her that while you're interested, you also have a full, vibrant life that doesn't revolve solely around her attention. Rule number 2 is simple. Keep it balanced. A little silence can speak volumes. When you resist the urge to over-explain or over-text, you're not being dismissive. You're showing that you're confident enough to let your actions speak for themselves. Now, let's talk about rule number 3. Cultivate a rich life outside of her. This rule is all about ensuring that your identity isn't solely tied to your interactions with one person. Imagine a man who spends every minute waiting for a response, a man who checks his phone obsessively and rearranges his schedule based solely on her availability. While this might seem like dedication, in reality, it sends the message that your happiness depends entirely on her attention. Instead, focus on building a life that is rich with your own interests, hobbies, and passions. Picture a scenario where you're deeply involved in your own pursuits. Maybe you're excelling in your career, hitting the gym regularly, or even learning a new skill that excites you. When you invest time in yourself, you naturally become more interesting and engaging. Not only does this enrich your own life, but it also makes you more attractive because it shows that you're independent and self-sufficient. Think of it like tending to a garden. When you nurture your own interests, you cultivate a vibrant, flourishing life that stands on its own. That inner vibrancy draws people in, and it tells her that while you appreciate her, you are not defined by her presence alone. Rule number 3 is all about self-investment. It means prioritizing your growth, celebrating your achievements, and ensuring that your happiness is not contingent on external validation. Next, let's move to rule number 4. Maintain your mystery. Mystery is not about being secretive or manipulative. It's about preserving an element of intrigue that keeps the connection fresh and exciting. When you reveal every detail about yourself too quickly, you leave nothing for her to discover, and that can make the relationship feel stagnant. Imagine reading a book where every page is revealed on the first go. It wouldn't leave you excited to know what happens next, would it? In the same way, if you lay out your entire life story from the start, you remove the chance for her to be intrigued by the parts you haven't shared yet. Instead, allow your story to unfold naturally over time. Share key moments that define who you are, but hold back some details that can be revealed as the connection deepens. This doesn't mean you're being dishonest. It simply means that you're letting the relationship grow at its own pace. Mystery creates a sense of anticipation and excitement. It invites her to learn more about you gradually, which keeps the attraction alive. Maintaining mystery is about balancing openness with reserve. It's about letting your natural allure shine through without giving away every aspect of your personality right away. Finally, let's discuss rule number 5. Stand firm in your self-respect. This rule is the cornerstone of everything we've talked about so far. Self-respect means valuing yourself enough to set and enforce your own boundaries. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to compromise on what makes you unique. Imagine a situation where she expects you to cancel your plans at the drop of a hat, or where she dismisses your opinions without a second thought. In such moments, standing firm in your self-respect means politely but firmly asserting your needs. For example, if she tries to monopolize your time consistently, you might say, "I value our time together, but I also have commitments that I need to honor." This simple act of self-assertion not only reinforces your self-worth, but also sets the tone for how you expect to be treated. Self-respect is not about being inflexible or arrogant. It's about ensuring that your value is recognized and honored. When you stand firm in your self-respect, you communicate that you will not settle for less than what you deserve. It's a clear statement that your time, feelings, and priorities are important. And when you send that message, you create an environment where genuine, respectful connection can thrive. To bring all these rules together, let's consider how they work. In harmony, when you're willing to walk away from situations that don't honor your worth, you're already setting a high standard. When you avoid over-texting and over-explaining, you preserve the excitement and anticipation in your interactions. By cultivating a rich life outside of any one connection, you demonstrate independence and self-sufficiency. Maintaining mystery keeps the relationship dynamic and intriguing, while standing firm in your self-respect ensures that every interaction is built on mutual admiration. Imagine you're at a social gathering and you meet someone new. Instead of immediately diving into long conversations or revealing everything about yourself, you engage with calm confidence. You share interesting insights about your passions, hint at your deeper interests without revealing every detail, and listen attentively when she speaks. You don't feel the need to chase every conversation or respond to every message instantly. Instead, you let your natural charm and independence shine through. Over time, she notices that you're not just available on demand. You have a life that you're passionate about. That balance of availability and independence creates a magnetic pull that is hard to resist. It tells her that while you value the connection, you also have a full, enriched life of your own. Now let's explore some practical examples to illustrate these rules further. Imagine a scenario where you're dating someone who occasionally cancels plans at the last minute. Instead of reacting with frustration or trying to compensate by being overly available on other days, you stick to your routine. You continue to attend your own events, pursue your hobbies, and meet up with friends. When she sees that you aren't thrown off by her cancellations, that you have a life that's thriving regardless of her actions, it subtly communicates that you value your own time and expect the same in return. In another situation, suppose you notice that your texts are often left unanswered for long periods. Instead of immediately bombarding her with follow-up messages, you practice patience. You wait, knowing that a little silence can create anticipation and build interest. Later, when she does reply, the conversation feels more balanced and engaging because there was space for both of you to reflect and respond thoughtfully. Consider also how maintaining mystery works in practice. Instead of sharing every detail about your weekend plans or every thought you have, you selectively reveal what matters most. You talk about your experiences and interests in a way that sparks curiosity, leaving some aspects of your story for later discussion. This approach not only keeps the conversation lively, but also invites her to ask questions, thereby deepening the connection organically. And when it comes to standing firm in your self-respect, think about a time when you had to assert your boundaries. Perhaps there was a moment when you felt your opinions were being disregarded, or when your time was being taken for granted. Instead of silently accepting that behavior, you calmly expressed your perspective, making it clear that mutual respect was non-negotiable. This not only reinforced your own self-worth, but also set the standard for how you expect to be treated in all your interactions. These 5 rules, being willing to walk away, avoiding over-texting, cultivating a rich life, maintaining mystery, and standing firm in self-respect, are more than just guidelines. They are a way of living that reinforces your value and naturally draws others to you. Each rule complements the others, creating a well-rounded approach to building and maintaining attraction. In practical terms, adopting these rules means making a series of small, conscious choices every day. It means choosing not to reply immediately, to every message, not to reveal everything about yourself at once, and always remembering that your time is valuable. It means embracing silence as a powerful tool and never compromising on the standards you set for how you want to be treated. Over time, these habits become second nature. You start to notice that your interactions become more engaging, your conversations more balanced, and your overall presence more magnetic. The women you interact with begin to appreciate not only your genuine interest, but also the strong, confident energy that you exude. And that, ultimately, is what keeps attraction alive. Consistency, self-assurance, and the willingness to live your life on your own terms. As you reflect on these rules, ask yourself, am I truly valuing my time and energy? Am I allowing enough space for genuine connection? Or am I overwhelming the conversation with constant attention? The answers to these questions can help guide you toward a more balanced and fulfilling way of interacting, one that respects both your own worth and the natural rhythm of attraction. To wrap up, remember that maintaining attraction isn't about grand gestures or complex strategies. It's about the everyday choices you make that reflect your true self. When you are confident enough to walk away, disciplined enough to give space, dedicated to your own growth, mysterious enough to leave room for curiosity, and firm enough to honor your self-respect, you create a presence that is not only attractive, but also deeply fulfilling. So take these 5 rules to heart, let them be the guiding principles in your interactions, and watch how they transform your connections. By living in a way that values your independence, nurtures your personal growth, and upholds your self-worth, you build an aura of genuine magnetism that draws the right people to you. Remember, the goal here is not to manipulate or play games. It's to be the best version of yourself. When you approach relationships with authenticity, clarity, and a steadfast commitment to your values, you naturally create an environment where mutual respect and attraction can flourish. Embrace these principles, let them shape your daily interactions, and trust that the changes, though gradual at first, will lead to profound and lasting transformation. In the end, the true measure of success is a life filled with rich, meaningful connections, relationships built on trust, respect, and genuine attraction. So, here's the challenge. Start applying these 5 rules today. Take a moment to reflect on your current habits and then commit to making those small adjustments that will lead to a more confident, independent, and magnetic you. Your journey to lasting attraction begins with these simple yet powerful guidelines, and every step you take towards embracing them is a step toward a more fulfilling life. The power of walking away. Let's talk about why sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to simply step back. We're going to explore how walking away from a situation where you're not being appreciated can actually turn the dynamics in your favor. It's about reclaiming your worth, focusing on yourself, and creating an environment where others see you as confident and self-sufficient. Imagine this. The moment you stop chasing, everything changes. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to simply step back. It might feel counterintuitive at first, but when you walk away from a situation that isn't honoring your value, you send a message louder than words ever could. Let me share a story about a guy named Alex. Alex was once deeply invested in someone who seemed interested at first. But over time, he noticed that his constant pursuit was taking a toll on him. Every time he reached out, he would get lukewarm responses, and despite his best efforts, the connection felt forced rather than natural. Instead of continuing to chase after her attention, Alex made a bold decision. He walked away. At first, it wasn't easy. The idea of leaving something or someone that once felt so promising was intimidating, but Alex realized that by chasing, he was giving away his power. He was investing all his energy into someone who wasn't fully reciprocating his feelings. So he took a step back, reclaimed his time, and focused on himself. Within a few days of stepping back, something unexpected happened. The dynamic shifted. Instead of feeling rejected or defeated, Alex began to feel a renewed sense of self-respect. He reconnected with his passions, met up with old friends, and started dedicating time to the things that made him truly happy. His confidence grew, and with it, an undeniable magnetic energy emerged. Soon enough, the woman who had once seemed indifferent began to notice the change. Suddenly, the tables turned. She started reaching out, curious about the newfound aura of calm and independence that Alex now exuded. This isn't a magic trick or a ploy, it's a simple truth. When you let go of the desperate need for someone's approval, you begin to value yourself more, and that value becomes evident to others. Think about it this way. Every moment you spend chasing someone who isn't fully present in your life, you're inadvertently lowering your own standards. When you choose to walk away, you're not giving up on the possibility of connection. You're affirming that you deserve a relationship where your time and energy are respected. That choice is incredibly empowering because it shifts the focus back onto you and what truly matters in your life. Walking away is not about playing games or punishing someone. It's about protecting your emotional well-being. It's a declaration that you won't settle for anything less than what you deserve. When you step back, you create space for yourself to grow and for relationships that are built on mutual respect and genuine interest to form naturally. Now, let's break this down with another example. Imagine you're at a gathering, and you find yourself surrounded by people who value every moment they share with you. You're engaging in conversations that uplift you, and there's an undeniable flow of energy in the room. Contrast that with a situation where you're always the one reaching out, always waiting for someone else to take the lead. Over time, that constant neediness can start to wear you down, and eventually, people might begin to take you for granted. When you choose to step away from that pattern, you signal that your time is precious and that in turn makes others value it more. The lesson here is simple. The power of walking away lies in reclaiming your self-worth. It's about recognizing that you have the right to choose what and who deserves a place in your life. When you no longer chase after validation, you become the one in control. Instead of being seen as someone who is desperate for attention, you are now perceived as someone who is confident, independent, and self-assured. For many, this change starts with a shift in mindset. It means understanding that the value of a connection isn't determined by how much effort you put into chasing, but by the quality of the energy you bring into it. When you walk away, you're making a powerful statement. You are not defined by someone else's inability to see your worth, and that statement is incredibly attractive. Think back to a time when you felt most alive and confident. Perhaps it was when you were fully immersed in an activity you loved, or when you achieved something significant through your own efforts. That feeling of empowerment is what walking away can bring back into your life. It's a reminder that you have control over your own happiness and that the energy you invest should always come back to you multiplied. Now let's consider some practical steps on how to apply this in your own life. First, recognize the moments when you're giving more than you're receiving. Notice if you're constantly the one initiating contact or if you find yourself worrying about the next reply. Acknowledge that these are signs of an imbalance and give yourself permission to step back. Next, focus on building a fulfilling life that isn't centered around seeking approval. Engage in activities that bring you joy. Invest time in your passions and surround yourself with people who appreciate you for who you are. When you enrich your life with these positive experiences, you naturally become less dependent on external validation. It's also important to set boundaries. If you notice that a relationship or interaction is consistently draining your energy, give yourself the space to say no. Understand that it's perfectly acceptable to walk away from situations that don't contribute to your well-being. Over time, these small acts of self-care will reinforce your sense of self-worth and attract those who are truly aligned with your values. One more point to consider is how you handle silence. Often, we fear silence because we associate it with rejection or disinterest. But silence can be a powerful tool. It gives you space to reflect, to recharge, and to appreciate the value of a pause in communication. Instead of rushing to fill every quiet moment, allow yourself to simply be. Embrace the silence as a sign that you are in control of your own time and energy. At the end of the day, the power of walking away is about reclaiming your narrative. It's about understanding that your worth isn't dependent on someone else's inability to fully appreciate you. When you choose to walk away, you're not closing the door to future connections. Instead, you're making room for relationships that are built on mutual respect and genuine interest. You are saying, I deserve to be with someone who values me just as much as I value myself. So how do you apply this in your life, starting today? Begin by taking a moment to reflect on your current interactions. Ask yourself if there are patterns where you feel drained or underappreciated. Identify those moments and give yourself the courage to step back. Remember, every moment you invest in honoring your own worth builds a foundation for more fulfilling connections in the future. The lesson here is clear. When you stop chasing and instead focus on walking away from what no longer serves you, you open the door to a richer, more authentic life. Your energy becomes magnetic, drawing in those who appreciate you for the strong, confident person you truly are. And that transformation, both within yourself and in the way others perceive you, is the true power of walking away. Take this moment as an opportunity to reassess your relationships and interactions. Embrace the idea that sometimes the most courageous act is to let go. Because when you choose to walk away from what doesn't honor your value, you make space for something far greater, a connection that resonates with respect, genuine interest, and mutual admiration. As we come to the end of our conversation today, remember this powerful truth. A man who controls himself controls everything. Think about it. Every time you choose to remain calm in the face of chaos, every moment you take to collect yourself instead of reacting impulsively, you're asserting your true power. That power isn't just about keeping your cool. It's about owning your story, your choices, and your life. Reflect on those moments when you faced challenges with a clear head, when you took a deep breath and chose your response with care. Those moments are the building blocks of strength. They show that you're not at the mercy of circumstances, but are in charge of how you move forward. When you master your emotions, you unlock a reservoir of inner power that not only helps you overcome obstacles, but also commands respect from those around you. I invite you to take these lessons to heart. Consider the impact that steady self-control has on your life. Every time you resist the urge to react impulsively, you are reinforcing your self-worth and laying the foundation for a life filled with purpose and clarity. Imagine waking up each day with the confidence that no matter what comes your way, you have the strength to handle it with grace. Picture a life where your interactions are marked by calm assurance, where even in moments of silence or difficulty, you remain the master of your own emotions. This isn't just a lofty ideal, it's a practical approach to living a more fulfilling life. Start by recognizing those times when you feel overwhelmed. Instead of immediately reacting, pause, breathe, and remind yourself that you are in control. That simple act of pausing can transform a stressful moment into an opportunity for growth. It's in these small, deliberate choices that true strength is built. By consistently choosing to control your responses, you not only improve your relationships, but also build an inner resilience that is hard to shake. Every challenge you face becomes a stepping stone toward a stronger, more composed version of yourself. And that inner strength is magnetic. It draws people to you and sets a standard for the kind of respect and admiration you deserve. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What moments in your life have shown you the power of self-control? How has choosing calm over chaos changed your path? If you've ever struggled with managing your emotions, drop "I am Stoic Man" in the comments. Let's level up together. And if these ideas resonated with you, hit that like button. Every like helps spread this message of self-mastery and empowers more men to embrace their true strength. Thank you for taking this time to reflect on what it truly means to control your emotions and, in turn, control your life. Remember, true power comes from within, and the more you practice self-control, the more you shape a life filled with purpose and respect. As you continue on your journey, hold fast to the belief that every moment of calm is a victory. Every pause a testament to your inner strength. Until next time, stay strong, stay composed, and never forget that a man who controls himself controls everything. I look forward to hearing your stories and insights in the comments. Let's keep pushing forward, growing together and building the life we deserve.